Thank you for tuning in, for joining me. Before we continue with this video, definitely like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you're interested in listening to more content on this channel. Don't forget to donate to your host as always so we can always keep these episodes going. I also have episodes of my podcast that is on Spotify, Anchor FM, any podcast platforms for your listening ears that is titled Let's Talk About It. I have a lot to say. So definitely subscribe to that as well. Today's topic of discussion is about a recent tragedy that happened at a school last week. Let's talk about it. I have a lot to say. On October 27th, this incident of a tragedy occurred at St. Louis High School. Unexpected and unfounded how this 19-year-old got a hold of a gun. Before we get into that, let me read you the article. I'm going to talk about it in a few. St. Louis High School shooting leaves 3 dead, including gunmen, police say. A gunman broke into St. Louis High School Monday morning, fatally shooting a woman and a teenage girl and wounding 6 others before police killed him in an exchange of gunfire. The shooting just after 9 a.m. at Central Visual and Performing Arts High School forced students to barricade doors and huddle in classroom corners, jump from windows, and run out of the buildings to seek safety. One terrorized girl said she was eye to eye with the shooter before his gun apparently jammed and she was able to run out. Others inside the school said they heard the shooter declare, "You are all going to die." The city's police chief said fast actions by a security guard and police officers who ran to the gunfire helped end the shooting before more people were killed or hurt. Speaking at a news conference, Police Chief Michael Sachs said the shooter was about 20 years old but did not provide a name for him or his victims. He declined to say if the woman killed was a teacher. St. Louis School Superintendent Kelvin Adams said 7 security guards were in the school at the time, even at an entry point of the locked building. One of the guards noticed a man trying to get in at a locked door but couldn't. The guard notified school officials and ensured police were contacted, Slack said. It was that timely response of the security officer, the fact that the door did cause pause for the suspect that bought us some time, Slack said. He declined to say how the man eventually got inside, armed with what he described as a long gun. Central Visual and Performing Arts shares a building with another magnet school, Collegiate School of Medicine and Bioscience, which was also evacuated. Central has 383 students and Collegiate has 336. Officers worked to get students out of the 3-story brick building, then ran to the gunfire located that shooter and engaged that shooter in an engage of gunfire, killing him, Sachs said. Monday's school shooting was the 40th this year, resulting in injuries or death, according to a tally by Education Week, the most in any single year since it began tracking school shootings in 2018. These includes the killings at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas in May when 19 children and 2 teachers died. Monday's St. Louis shooting came on the same day a Michigan teenager pleaded guilty to terrorism and first-degree murder in a school shooting that killed 4 students in December 2021. Some of the 6 people hospitalized suffered gunshot wounds, while others were struck by shrapnel, Sachs said. He did not provide any information on their conditions. One student, 16-year-old Sanaya Golston, told the St. Louis Post-Dispatch she was in a room when the shooter entered. "All I heard was 2 shots, and he came in there with a gun," Golston said, "and I was trying to run and I couldn't run. Me and him made eye contact, but I made it out because his gun got jammed, but we saw blood on the floor." Ninth grader Nyla Jones told the Post-Dispatch she was in math class when the shooter fired into the room from the hallway. The shooter was unable to get into the room and banged on the door as students piled into a corner. Janae Douglas' 15-year-old daughter got stuck in the hallway when the school was locked down. Douglas said she received a call from her daughter letting her know she had heard shots. One of her friends busted through the door. He was shot in the hand, and then her and her friends just took off running. The phone disconnected. Douglas said, I was on my way. The shooting left St. Louis Mayor Deshaura Jones shaken. Our children shouldn't have to experience this, Jones said at the news conference. They shouldn't have to go through active shooter drills in case something happens. And unfortunately, that happened today. The school district placed all of its schools on lockdown for the remainder of the day and canceled all after school activities, including sports. Central Visual and Performing Arts High School is a magnet school specializing in visual, musical, and performing arts. The district website says the school's educational program is designed to create a nurturing environment where students receive a quality academic and artistic education that prepares them to complete successfully at the post secondary level or perform completely in the world of work. Two killed in shootings at St. Louis High School. The gunman dead. Okay, let's talk about it. I have a lot to say. There are always some holes in this story, and unfortunately, it ends in tragedy for all parties. This student is 19, and he was smart enough to understand that you can get a firearm at the legal age of 19 and older without having any license. So, no telling this boy's mental state prior to that incident. This student had a crazy firearm that was an AR-15 style rifle. And I believe that it's only purchased for military purposes as a service weapon. I don't know, I could be wrong. Now he tried to purchase this. He tried to purchase a firearm at a previous gun shop, but he was flagged by the FBI when they did their background to be able to purchase a gun. So that to me caused concern that he was still able to get a hold of a firearm. He also was smart to know that age 19 is a legal age in Missouri to purchase a gun. But what is mind-boggling to me is that these states have it whereas you could purchase a firearm without having any concealed carry license. So I always thought that that was dumb, and I felt like that was a tragedy that is going to happen closer than expected. And several incidences in the community is because people are having these guns, they're not responsible and they're not mature to handle what life has to throw them. So they are just mentally unstable. And they do have those health concerns that are not being addressed but being observed. So I'm sure the student acted out because he was a former student or he was a current student at the school. So I know someone heard something, said something, talked to someone, whispered to someone about him because for him to just be the loner to do that, he had some issues. So we all knew that they could have had someone or heard someone talk about this student or teacher or classroom, their mannerism. I feel like the government, the state, the adults in the political realm who's responsible for creating change in these laws are failing us. How did these students get into these schools? In the article that I read, he said that one of the security guards noticed that this guy was pulling a door that was locked. 7 security guards? That is unbelievable. That's unbelievable. So no one knows that this could have literally been a history of volatile behavior at that school or just behavior issues at that school, which caused them to have 7 security guards. Yes, it's a Central Visual and Performing Arts high school, but again, we're dealing with students with different personalities, different mannerism, different mental stability or instability. So there's so much that we really don't know about the ins and outs of what goes on campus. They're not going to tell everybody what actually happens on campus. And they did not interview the principal, at least in this article. And leadership does play a part in how things are transformed in the campus environment. So this boy could have been bullied, and it could have been overlooked by leadership, or the parents overlooked them because the gun that he did have, that AR 15 style rifle, was removed from the home, I believe, at one point, and then was able to be retrieved later on. But another thing, not knowing their family background. Like, what was he living with his biological parents? Was he living with grandparents? And what was their background? Was he living with those that had a military background or police force? Um, how easy access was this gun, and was it locked up? Did he know the code? I mean, so many things that could come across your mind. Like, I do believe that sometimes things happen in the home that does spill over in the school. And this guy was a ticking time bomb. And unfortunately, he was so young to experience such instability of his mental that is disturbing. I feel like, again, leadership is held responsible for making sure the school is safe. Like, when you, as a parent, when you put your kid in the school, that is a form of safety and security. Like, you are putting responsibility on the staff at that school, the teachers at that school, to protect those kids. Um, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like things should be bulletproof. You know how they have at the banks and at the jails. You know, those type of glass. I don't know if it's plexiglass or whatever it is that prevents anything from happening, or they can find another alternative, like secret entrance per se, to get in. And only those that are involved in school, um, as far as the faculty, the staff, and the students know, which would again, it kind of look like a panic room, or kind of like a secret room where you press it and it goes in, and then you can't tell if it's a building or not, you know. Um, I mean, I remember Back to the Future, right? One, two, three, however many they had. And Back to the Future had things that was happening right now, you know, especially like the cars with the wings, and, you know, shock cars that have the little, that thing that raises the cars up and stuff. So I'm like, okay, let's get futuristic about this. Because if that city, St. Louis, had 40, um, I don't think it was the school, but the total 40 shootings within that year, that is crazy. That's crazy. It is a shame that we live in an environment where we have to get extreme. I feel like they're doing more killing in the schools, running over people in public environments, than in the streets. Like, you can't go to the mall, you can't go to school, you can't go to grocery stores. I mean, you can't even go to church without foolery of mental unstable individuals. I'm telling you, if you feel that someone is off, or not like themselves, or you may hear something that's disturbing, go to the extreme. I mean, social media is out there. Um, you can record it. You can tell someone to call the police because you don't know what's going to happen. You know, nobody knows why people do what they do. Especially if you target innocent ones. He went to a specific classroom and he had one teacher that was 61 years old, and unfortunately, one student who was, I think she was 15 or 16 years old. I'm appalled. I'm frustrated because these states, I don't know why their laws aren't laws. Like a gun, I mean, it's almost like the individuals who are carrying the guns that do not have a license, they are running around like the police, and the police is not running around like the police. If they could say, the police could have such uh responsibility, have such reason, justifiable reason to carry a firearm, then I guess everybody else have justifiable reason to carry one as well. I knew that law was going to go haywire. The lack of responsibility and immaturity. People are trigger happy and they're hurting others that have loved ones out there that care for them. So, with that being said, if you definitely enjoyed this content, subscribe to my podcast where we have healthy conversations about these very same concerns and these very same issues. I'm on all the major listening platforms. And until the next video, let's talk about it. I have a lot to say.